am I qualified to talk to these people? Like, your situation is way more difficult than mine. You know, that self-doubt starts to creep in. Why do you think that I am good enough to talk to these people about these things?
I did on SSBE, but go to me because that's where I go live personally,
Okay.
and then
I'll share it over to the.
Okay. All right, awesome. Yes, even better. So we are live. You should be able to find me here shortly.
Yeah.
This is also a good opportunity to mute your phones. You can stay tuned in live on your phone so that we have that for fun. Oops. Turn my volume down too.
Where does this share?
I don't know if we can take the three
Oh, I
dot
see.
button.
I got it here.
Deep breath in, pause, and
Good job getting the attention of the camera.
Lights, camera, action. We're back for your satisfaction. From Action Business Furniture Studios is where it's happening. We have a special guest star appearance from Kelsey Heintz. Yay! And we also have your host, Jonathan Byron. Take it away, John.
All right, thank you, Mike. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We love Mike. He's a little bit less crazy today than sometimes. It's good. It's a good look. I like it. I like the hat.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, so I am super excited about this conversation. Most of you have already know we're talking about imposter syndrome. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But before we do, we have a table full of non-imposters. None of us here showed up as imposters. We're just like, know what we're doing and crushing it. No, we're good. It's going to be a fun conversation, but I do want to start out by introducing ourselves. So we'll start to my left with Rob Reuter. There's a lot that we've been talking about planning and changing and all that. But we'll just stick with the original. So who are you? What do you do? What's your industry? What's your business name? And then any events that you have coming up that you're going to be a part of that you're excited to let the community know about.
Okay, sounds good. Well, hi everyone. Rob Reuter with IDIC Designs, infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and that's the way technology works. There are so many ways of doing it, and I help you choose the right way for you. And I'm going to bring up again an event that's coming up in a couple of weeks, in June actually, with Cherie Sauer from Success Without Sacrifice, and she is running a speaker event and teaching people who want to make a bigger impact in their community and on the stage. And so if you're the type of person who's always wanted to stand up in front and speak your truth and get people's attention, I would encourage you to look for Cherie Sauer here in our Facebook group, SSBE on Facebook, and she's been posting about her event. So look for it. It's coming up in June.
Hi, I'm Zane. I'm with Zebra Go, and so we help small business owners with answering phone calls and getting customers on the schedule. We use real people to answer calls, and we do calls, text messages, emails, just handle the whole customer communication piece so that you can do what you do best and we handle the rest. don't have any events, but I mean, this close to Memorial Day, definitely want to shout out everyone who's gave that ultimate sacrifice for our country, and appreciate them and all of our armed services.
Yeah, well said, Zane. Yeah, thank you for that. Sean O'Regan, I'm with Heritage Bank. I'm a commercial banker, not to be confused with baking.
I knew that was gonna come up.
Banker, yeah, I don't, every day's an event, you know, you just get out there and try to meet people. I do have a cool thing coming on next week, I guess. It's the I-90 Aerospace Manufacturing Convention I'll be at for a couple days. That'll be kind of fun. Check out some cool businesses and out there in Coeur d'Alene. But yeah, that's me.
Excellent, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Melissa Byron with Thrive Wellness, and I am a certified health and wellness coach. I get to help people with healthy mind and healthy body in all ages and stages in life.
My name is Val Money. I'm a realtor in the Spokane area, and I'm starting to lean into helping people, senior people, in their transition, when they have to like spend down to go on a Medicaid and that kind of thing. That's where I'm going to focus. I've had a lot of experience that with my own parents, and it's a painful, arduous process. It requires a lot of compassion and patience. So I'm developing a passion for that.
Awesome, welcome.
Hi, I'm Heidi Simmons with Empower and Engage. And when you feel like you're yelling at your kids and they're not listening to you, it might not be a discipline problem, but a disconnection problem. So I help parents reconnect and strengthen that bond between their kids so it calms the chaos, builds their kids' confidence. And I just had my first outdoor workshop with moms and kids yesterday. It went really well. So I have some more upcoming this summer. So stay tuned for the dates. And you can check out my website, empowerandengage.com.
Awesome, welcome. Go ahead, Mike.
We need to talk about some stuff, some real serious stuff. I'm talking about bragging rights. Big data, the biggest data ever. I want to show you how many views this show has gotten so far. We have gotten 25,000 views. That's 25,000 views in the last 90 days. Isn't that incredible, people? I know. It is so good that you can fill 2 Spokane Veteran Memorial Arenas twice. Can you guys say twice? Twice! Isn't that awesome? We can fill it twice. In fact, we are doing so good. We are beating out a lot of local Spokane radios. Look at it, pound for pound. The data don't lie, baby. That's why you guys need to engage and follow us and subscribe and be our friends and share everything for us on YouTube.
We love Mike. Mike, thank you so much. And I do want to highlight, this is, I'm blown away by the numbers. This is an opportunity to, Dave Ribble, I do want to shout out, Dave Ribble is not here with us. He's been dealing with some health issues. So our prayers are with him and his amazing wife, Gay. Guys, huge supporters of the show. We love them, and we're just hopeful to get him back here soon. But Dave is very big about this exact thing, connecting, collaborating, and communicating. And so the opportunity to show up here and get in front of an audience of 2 Spokane arenas it's huge. And you know, I hope we did the introductions first so that you're not nervous. I'm a little nervous. I'm talking to like 2 arenas full of people, right? Like that's a huge audience. So if you can make it down here, if you're watching live, comment, because all of that gives an opportunity for us to shout you out and get you out to that bigger broadcast. So Mike, thank you. I appreciate all the efforts you put into that. It's good. Kelsey, give us a quick introduction of who you are, and then we'll jump into this thing.
Cool. I'm Kelsey Heintz. I'm the Field Operations Director at Naomi Con Agency. So we're an insurance agency. I specialize in home and auto insurance, and I've been doing that for about a year now.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Welcome.
that's the short of it.
Yeah, I love it. Love having you on. Real quick, as you guys were going around, like I just wanted to jump in and interrupt you with like how amazing the things are that you guys do and the connections that are available here in
Well,
this
I
room.
will jump in because last week he didn't introduce himself and what he does.
I did notice that last
So,
week, and
I'm not letting him do it 2 weeks in a row.
I was about to do it again. You're absolutely right. I'm Jonathan Byron. I am a realtor here in Spokane. Love helping people find a house, sell a house, interact with this massive thing that is real estate. It can be very daunting and overwhelming. I love helping people navigate that whole thing. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, I would love an opportunity to chat with you. Thank you, Rob, for reminding me to do that. There's so many great events in Spokane that, you know, even when I create this event in the calendar, I'm like, oh man, like so many good things. So I would encourage you, whether it's something that was highlighted or just something, like put it in the comments, share it with people you know, go with somebody, get out into the community. The more you interact with diverse groups, the better person you're going to be, the better your business is going to be. So thank you all for sharing all of that. To the 25,000 people that are going to see this, get involved. Come be involved in something that Spokane is doing. It's a really cool town. Love being here. I'm super excited to jump into this. And Kelsey and I have talked about this, a little bit nervous. Like, this is one of those topics that we're all aware of it. And if you're like, what is this imposter syndrome? What does that mean? Kelsey's actually got the definition ready for us. We're going to jump into it. But this is something, once you realize what we're talking about, like, we've all dealt with this, but like to actually put it out on the table and talk about it is something that tends to be a little bit uncomfortable. And so those of you that came and are here, like, thank you for coming. This is a big topic. Those of you that are online right now, jump in with a comment. Let us, in fact, Candace Ginn shouted out. Candace, body language, yes, absolutely a big part of this. Candace, you need to come on a Friday sometime. Like, we need you here in the room. She's amazing. But Kelsey, jump us in with this. Tell us what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so imposter syndrome, I have the definition right here. And for those that don't know, it's a psychological experience characterized by persistent feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt despite evidence of success. So has anyone felt like they're faking it in the room full of business and professionals and even just in life?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's most of us. So, I mean, I think even just to start it out with personal life, because I think this plays into not only business, but personal life. My biggest starting point that I can remember of imposter syndrome was I was a teen mom, and I had a lot of medical stuff happen with my son, but he also was born with Down syndrome and just a ton of health stuff. And I was in high school. I finished high school in the waiting room of a hospital and did finish it online. So regardless, that was kind of my story, and people learned that and knew that about me, and they would reach out to other people that they knew and would be like, oh, you know, there's this gal that's blah, blah, blah. And like, with your experience, like, do you want to talk to them about Down syndrome, about medical issues, about any of this? And I was like, why am I qualified to talk to these people? Like, your situation is way more difficult than mine. You know, that self-doubt starts to creep in. Like, why do you think that I am good enough to talk to these people about these things? So that is like one of the most, like, I guess, foundational times that I remember that. It still happens, and I don't feel qualified to talk. I mean, Lord knows I don't feel qualified to talk here today about any of it. That self-doubt will just kind of creep in. So anyways, with that, I think that it just, I've talked to people that think that even if they're not struggling it in their business, that they just don't struggle with it at all. It's not a thing. And like, it's in your personal life too. And remember to take the key things that you learn about it and take it with you in personal life too, and not just work. One of the things that I was going to talk about is the fear of speaking up about it, because acknowledging it can, so, you know, a lot of CEOs struggle with this, and they can talk about it because you see their success. Like, you can see the other side of it. And whereas, you know, someone who, like, let's even say myself, like, take myself for instance, I've been in insurance for a year. And this year I've been like seriously stretched because, and I'm sure you guys can relate, when you move to like an entrepreneurship type role, you're putting yourself out there in crazy ways that you wouldn't normally. And I think that when you're doing that, you just constantly thinking of all the things that you're not adequate enough. And when somebody doesn't see the success at the other side, like, and you're putting yourself out there, they are probably going to agree with you that you're not adequate, and that will speak to you. Has anyone like kind of experienced that? Like thoughts that you aren't good enough when you haven't been in it and don't want to talk about it?
Well, I've been thinking about a little story from my past that might tie in with that, and speaking to it. So years ago, when I was getting started, I was a technology teacher. I taught people technology, and one of them I taught was Microsoft Exchange Server. Now, I'm a good test taker, which means when you ask me questions on a screen, I'm really good at answering the questions, whether or not I understand it at all. And there was this one class I was teaching in which there was a particular chapter that we went through the chapter, we turned the pages, I rattled off what Microsoft expected me to tell the students about Exchange. And I wasn't really particularly excited about it because I didn't understand it. And then there came that one afternoon that I was teaching that subject again, and I was going, okay, here I go. I gotta talk my way through this chapter. It's the only way. And I started talking about it, and somebody asked me a question, and I gave them the right answer. And then in that moment, it just kind of clicked with me. And then I started interacting with them back and forth, and we just had a dynamic afternoon together. And that, after it was letting the class go, one of my students who had been following me through all kinds of courses, she was walking with me down the hallway, and she was going, "Oh, Rob, that class this afternoon was just so powerful." She says, "You were on fire." And I just looked over and I said, "You didn't get it, did you?" And she says, "What?" "I just figured it out today." So
Yeah.
That imposter syndrome is when we're struggling. It's oftentimes easy to say, "I'm not smart here. I don't know what this is," but we still go through the motions. And sometimes we're lucky and the right thing falls into place, and suddenly there's that aha moment. And so, that would be my contribution is, it's legitimate, and we're oftentimes out of our own depth. But if we're still engaging and communicating with people, we have a chance to change.
I like that, and I want to hear stories, and whatever you're going to share, like, share it. But like, as you guys are thinking about this, like, I would love to hear some stories from everybody, and there's some that came to my mind for me as you were sharing that. But Heidi, tell me what you're thinking.
So I think it was about 7 years ago that was the first time I even heard of the term imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And there's something about it when you start talking about it, because I had been feeling imposter syndrome, but I didn't know that was the feeling. And there was kind of a change in my mindset once I learned about it, and I was like, oh wait, this is a thing. So it's not just me feeling like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like, this is like real, and everyone's kind of feeling that. And so yeah, it changed it from like a negative to like, I don't know. I mean, I was like working towards getting rid of it. But I think taking action in anything is the best way to kind of release that feeling. Because once you start doing things start happening, and you find out, like Rob did, oh, I do know what I'm talking about. So
yeah, I love that. It's great.
I think that speaks like so much into, I think we'll kind of move towards that direction, but speaks to how to fix it, or I don't think you can totally fix it, but how to how to move on past it is just do it. Like, just do it. And that's, I think, one of the most important things is you learn from it. Like, I'm sure you took away things for your next class to do, and you just do it. And it's what everyone here is probably doing. You're all entrepreneurs and doing things. Do it.
For sure. And I love when we get a label for a thing, it can be very helpful, right? Like, oh, that's what this thing is that I'm experiencing. And even as you were talking about, like, you discovered it, so I think that probably is when it became this common vernacular that we now all like use. Or, you know, for some people it's like, oh, and that's why I love this show, is like ideas that come up that like, oh, I'd never heard of that, is a novel concept. But I was thinking about, like, KPI, for whatever reason, is the one that comes to my mind. Like, a couple of years ago, I feel like somebody started using that somewhere, and social media and the internet, like, all of a sudden everybody, and it was one of those things, you're at a table like this and, well, I got KPI, and I'm like, I don't know what KPI is. And you start to feel like, what am I doing at this table if I don't even know what this, and everybody's using it, and like, they're using it wrong because nobody actually knows what it is. And,
what is it?
yeah, great, right? Like KPI is key performance indicator.
Yeah.
But it was like, you know, everybody, and then it's like a trend, and like people stop using it. And there's another one going around right now that I've heard, and I can't even think of it off the top of my head. But to the point of labels, ADHD is the one I like to use as an example. I discovered that I have ADHD symptoms, right? And my instant link to that label was to just like, oh, this is the way I am forever and ever. And it's like, no, you can take that label off. And so I think that, like, that's one of the big questions that we want to talk about here is like, what are some of the things? So as you're telling your stories, like, it's an interesting arc, right? It's like, I was struggling, and then I got this, oh, it's imposter syndrome. That's what it is. Now, how do I take that off? Because if I just live with that, like, oh, I'm an imposter, like, you're just gonna be miserable. So keep going with these stories. I'm loving it.
Well, I think, like, we were actually talking the other day, John, and on our walking one.
Yes.
We get through this where we're just going through life, right? And so, you know, we're putting our heads down, we're just doing what we have to do. So we don't think that there's anything special or anything even remotely successful that we're doing, because we're just surviving. We're going through and surviving, and we're doing. And then you take a step back and you look back at what you've done, or the experiences that you've had. And that's where you can really see your success and why people, you know, people come up and say, oh, you're doing so great at, you know, whatever it is. And I don't feel that way because I'm just living my life. I'm just going through. And I think that's the hardest thing with that imposter syndrome is I can easily look at everybody in this room and be like, successful, 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 successful. You're doing amazing things. I'm just surviving. And that's, I think, where we really struggle with is, okay, how do we get beyond just that survival mindset and see that, no, I'm successful too. Maybe I've created some unattainable goal,
right? And
that's the problem, or who knows what it could be, but.
No, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things, can you read the description again, the definition of the?
Oh yeah, a psychological experience characterized by persistent feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt despite evidence of success.
So when you read that, I was like, despite evidence of success, I was like, oh, that doesn't count for me. I don't have any evidence of success. It's like this instant like self-doubt creeps in, and it's like everybody else in the room is like, what do you mean no evidence of success? You have, you know, and they can lay it out for you, which is, I don't want to jump the gun, but I know one of the things we want to talk about is comparison, but keep going.
I know one thing that I'm really guilty of is moving the goalposts for myself.
Good.
So I'm constantly thinking like, well, if I just got here, then like I would be happy with myself. Like if I had this many clients, or I was making this much money in my business, or anything like that. And it never works out that way. It's always like, you know, kind of trying to take that next step, which is great, but framing it in the way of still being proud of what I have accomplished. And I think that kind of ties into the imposter syndrome of like, I sometimes fall into the trap of thinking like, everybody else is growing so much faster than me, and they're getting, you know, they're achieving so much more, when that's not necessarily the case. Everybody's kind of in their own head about not achieving enough or not being successful based on their own metrics.
So good. So good. Yeah, so true.
The saying you are your own worst enemy could not be more true.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing here is that I've had a real come to Jesus moment with myself, a little conversation with myself about moving goalposts. And I had this idea that someday I'll be successful enough to help other people. And it was like, the goalpost just kept moving. And it's like, well, if I've already crossed whatever goalpost I once had, and all I really want to do is help people, why not start doing it now? And that's like, you're doing it. Like, you walked in with the t-shirt and the hat, like, you're doing it. You are doing it. It's amazing. And you still have this feeling of like, oh, but I just need to, it's like, no, you're doing it and you're helping other people. It's amazing. So appreciate having you here.
I think that's why why metrics are important. And I can agree with you that just to throw out, what are your KPIs? It's not realistic, but a message I'm always trying to share with people is you can't experience momentum unless you have, kind of a map of how you're progressing down there. And that's important to have those metrics. But as we're just talking about, you can't be fluid ones that, when I have one more customer, when I make one more sale, then I'll have arrived, because you'll never. But when you say, when I reach this point and I know what that number is, and I write it down and act on it, then I'll set the next goal. Where do I go from there? And so I try to do that. And in fact, in my industry, we do a lot of what we call QBR, quarterly business results. And so the idea is routinely you review where you actually sit down and say, okay, where was I? Where am I at now? What's next on that list?
Awesome.
I've got a lot to say on this topic, and I don't want to hog the conversation, but I've got 3 examples. One is, I'm supposed to be the successful real estate agent, and in my mind, successful real estate agents drive nice cars, like he does. So I recently hit a deer with my car, and now the whole front end of my car is crushed in. And then just yesterday, I parked my car in a different spot, and I backed into the dumpster that I forgot was there at my house. So now the back end of my car is crushed. And the whole time I'm driving my car, I'm feeling like, a little bit like, why is this happening to me? I hope no one sees me in my car. I parked the car down the road. I don't want to see, it's like this, I'm an imposter because I'm driving this beat up car. Like, that's immediate for me. And it's relevant to me being a professional, me trying to project that I've got something going on, etc. Another example is earlier this week, I did a little bit of public speaking, and I got imposter syndrome hard. I usually get nervous before I speak publicly, but by the time I'm speaking, I use that energy to energize the room. Does that make sense? But in this case, I was so in my head, and I'm talking to this room full of people, and I'm having to stop and take a breath because I just couldn't catch my breath. My thoughts were rambly, and I got told I did a good job and made a Facebook post about it. But you were there. But the fact is, I was nervous inside, and I'm like, who am I to be delivering this message when I am so tied up in my own head? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the third major example is I ran a newspaper for 10 years, and I got a lot of positive feedback for that, and by some metrics it was successful. I think I got an A+ for community impact. But when I would go to meetings like a GSI event or networking event or whatever, I would always try to present myself like I was a CEO at the top of my game that had momentum. but really inside, I was anxious as hell. I have been, for 10 years, everything that I was projecting to the room was on top of being anxious. And I can't even tell you the like cognitive dissonance that sets up, because I want people to perceive that we're successful, so they jump on board, but really I'm nervous as hell, and la 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 la. And so that imposter syndrome has got me hard. And one way that I have dealt with it is to realize that, let's see if I can articulate this. Like, part of my mission is to be powerful, effective, and fully self-expressed. I want to be a fully self-expressed real estate agent in the Spokane area. So what does that look like? If I'm going to be powerful, effective, and fully self-expressed, it's not that I am immediately that way. It's that I'm setting myself up to discover what it takes to deliver on that. Does that make sense?
That's great.
So it's like I'm looking for, what do I need to do in this moment to be powerful, effective, and fully self-expressed? So it's not so much like I'm there. It's more of a discovery and curiosity about how to express that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Man, that is, I just need to sit with that for like a week. That is profound. And one of my biggest struggles is, and I heard it said this way, if whatever you release first, the first podcast, the first client that you work with real estate, if you're not embarrassed by that first step, you waited too long. And I think that it's like, I just want to be perfect. I want to come out of the gate already Joe Rogan. I want to come out of the gate already whatever realtor is at the top of, people like, oh, that guy. Whatever it is that I'm going to do, I want to be, and we're so critical. Like, we're critical of our stars, our famous people. We're critical. And then that turns into self-criticism. Like, oh, I can't get started because I don't have a big enough audience. I can't get started because my car's not nice enough. I'm right there with you. Like that, and you might think I drive a nice car, but I see all the cars that are nicer than mine. I promise you. It happens. It happens. And then I see the cars that are less nice, and I'm like, okay.
Right, exactly.
So just find cars that are not as nice as yours, and you'll feel great.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is my first meeting here, but this is therapeutic for sure. And I'm probably going to cancel my counseling sessions from here on out. Show up to this, because this is an incredible experience for sure. And everybody here, it's just what you've said is amazing. I like, the definition, a psychological experience, which is exactly what it is, right? And we get in our own heads, right? And that's the biggest problem, right? For me, at least. I can't speak to anybody else, but in everything. And I drive a 30-year-old, I'm in banking, right? And I drive a 30-year-old car, and I love it, right? It's got dense, it's got, it gets, it's 0 to 60 in about 5 minutes, right? And I park a block away sometimes, so I can walk to my, but I love it, right? And I'm proud of it. And that's my own problem, right? That's something I've got to get over. But
in Val and I's defense, and I'm not to interrupt, but I'll let you go. You don't pull up to $1 million listing in your car that you're trying to sell to somebody.
True.
Yeah, keep going though.
Part of the the psychological experience is the definition of success, and what is that even, right? That's what the killer, right, for me is. What is that really? Is it the car? Is it the nice house, right? Okay, does the person work too hard? Are they, a workaholic? How did they get there? Are they smart? Do they have a high IQ? What are all the parameters, right, that I don't see? I'll never know.
Yeah.
So it's, the education, again, in banking, a lot of times, when I'm working on a loan, I'll look at the bios, right, of the people who are running the business, and it is just humiliating, right? I'm like, these guys could do my job, this person, right? Whoever. What, I am not worthy, right? These guys are, I mean, top tier geniuses, right? You do my job for me. It's just, you know, or where have I gone in life? What have I done in life, right? You know, nothing, it feels like. So it's just, you know, and going back to, you know, the definition of success, you know, I don't know, what is it? It's what we see visually, it's what we take in, and we create assumptions and judgments, and it just goes down this spiral of a rabbit hole of, you know, everything that we've been talking about. You know, what Rob, you know, was saying, knowing versus understanding is a concept I think about all the time, right? I have to be careful, and I feel like I do it more than I should. You know, you meet people and you try to network and you get into a topic, right? Just to be friendly, just to get something going, and all of a sudden they're an expert at it. And I'm like, there it is, right? I actually know nothing about cars. I'm sorry I went that direction. Change my oil, my fault. Right? You are a master mechanic. I get the concept. I don't understand the componentry of it, right? I'm sorry, you know. So it's super, you know, super humbling, you know, when you get in those situations. But yeah, it's I don't know. I just keep going back to the psychological experience, and that's a lot of times what it is. But I'll end with this. I guess I feel like, you know, when I get into a situation where I'm afraid to do something or go out, right? Oh, I can't do that. I'm an imposter, as we're talking about. It's just a matter of, you know, just get out there. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Just go out, show up, right? Yeah. Just show up. Show up. I'm here. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? No idea what I'm saying. This is awesome, right? Great experience. Just show up, no matter what the situation is, you know. And it usually is just phenomenal, you know. Yeah. I don't know.
It's good. Love it.
That's it.
Yeah, that was good. For me, I've really had to learn that I'm really most qualified to help those because of my own experiences. And we all have our own experiences. And when, let's just say, so, I mean, this happens. Sometimes people approach me and they're like, you know, teach me how to raise kids like yours. And I'm like, what? Like, really? I mean, they're honestly really great kids. And but I've had a lot of different experiences than they have had, just like you've had experience with Downs. Like, that's a totally different experience. And being a teen mom, like, I don't have that experience, but man, if there's someone that has that experience or is going through that, I'm going to direct them to you. And, you know, or just with health and wellness coaching, I mean, people don't know I've lost 50 pounds and was in bed for 5 years and was in extreme, like, really, really ill, and was able to get out of that. And like, how did I get through that? How can I help someone else get through that? I'm helping clients that are super ill right now, like so ill, but being able to help them get through that because I have that experience. You know, we have a kid that has an illness. Like, how do you navigate that? Like, how do you navigate that as a couple? And yes, Jonathan is my husband, for those of you watching. Like, it is not easy. And to go through that experience as a married couple and actually navigate that, like, guys, that is hard. But when I see people that have a sick kid, I'm like, how's your marriage? How are you guys doing together? Because we've walked through that, and I know it's really, really hard. So how can I be a support system to you? And so it's not just business, but it's life too. But then merging those two together is so magical. And being able to listen to people and having compassion for people and where they're at and what they're going through, I think is really gold. In not just personal, but professionally as well. And just merging those two things together, but always remembering, shoot, I have experience and I can help you. And not in a like high and mighty way, but like as a coming alongside that person and really being able to navigate that with that person. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Mic drop. Jeez. It's been a real privilege to be married, almost 22 years now.
Almost 22.
And we we have been through some really tough stuff, and talk about like wanting to be perfect out of the gate, and also talking about imposter syndrome. If you want to help yourself with get married, because you'll have a partner that like really sees you for who you are. And this week I had I'll call it a meltdown. The news came in that was different than what I expected, and I was just in a rough space. It was in the morning, I'm trying to, we're rushing around doing kids and all the things, and the kids like went out to the car, and I got out there a few minutes later, and they're like, "Where were you?" I was like, having a breakdown, basically. But Melissa was there, and it was, I'm still learning this, so bear with me as I work my way through articulating it. Val is a great way to say it. I don't like being vulnerable, period, full stop. I don't like being vulnerable to my wife, because I feel like I am supposed to be rock. I'm her rock. I am her anchor in a stormy gale. I am all of these things. And for me to not be okay in a moment like that is hard. And so I'm sharing that very, genuinely and honestly. Like I didn't figure it out. We didn't come out of that like, hey, now we're a power couple. I mean, we are a power couple. But it's the reality of it. And I think that having, and I want to be careful here, because there's single moms, single dads, people that are dealing with all kinds of things. So I don't want to like say that the only way, but I will say that having a spouse, having a partner that you can be genuine with, that you can say, when I'm out there, I put on the brave face, and I divide and conquer and do all the things. And when I come home, I just got to be honest, I'm anxious, I'm freaked out, I'm all these things, and have that like safe space. And this isn't going to be a marriage therapy session, so we'll kind of cut that off there. But I would say that's a piece, like having somebody, and maybe it's not even a spouse, a partner. It's just having a best friend, having somebody that you can really just let your guard down and be like,
Or community.
yes.
I mean, that's the whole thing is, all of a sudden I have like 50 things I want to say at once. I do the best when I'm part of a community, like what you were pointing at, and can hear myself reflected, see other people move ahead. It's the community that keeps me, to use the word of the day, out of imposter syndrome, because it keeps me connected. And I feel like the community, the greatest value is in community. And relevant to that, I think the hard way to go with imposter syndrome is to try to hide it. So Judy Garland, when she would come out on stage, she would get kind of hung up in the curtains, a little bit, or kind of trip over herself, and the audience would love it, because Judy Garland, of all people, was showing her humanity and authentic self, and she would have a whole audience by that first little mistake. So what I have endeavored to do is just cop to it, like, look, I'm nervous. I'm nervous I can pull this off. And what I'm feeling like is that I can't, or that I'm not worthy or whatever, but what I'm committed to is to make this the best experience that you have had, and we're going to do this and that, and that's what the commitment is. So when I have, it comes off better in the moment, but when I just cop to it, 100% of the time people get it, because everyone feels it, and what people are looking for is authenticity. And so if you can authentically share, in my opinion, where you're at in the moment without dumping about it, then people get where you are. They can get on board, and you can move ahead together. And like I was saying before, discover the things that are going to fulfill on whatever the intention is. Does that make sense?
I love it. Yeah, it's good. I think as you were saying that, and Sean, you mentioned psychological experience a few times, and it's an interesting aspect of this that it is, I'm going to say it a certain way, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. It's in your head. It's all in my head. And what you were talking about made me think of Flow by Michal. Fantastic book. I don't know if I actually finished it, but like the parts that I read were really, really good. But when we're in a flow state, and I would even argue like here, right now, like as I'm thinking about what I'm going to share, I might be nervous. I might be but as soon as and then even like it shifts. Right? Like just now when I started becoming introspective, I'm looking at myself, I'm thinking about how do I say, all of a sudden I'm back in my head and it's this psychological experience that I'm like more worried about what you guys think of me than the value that I can provide, the experience that I can provide. And as you were talking about that, I've had this experience where I'm in certain markets in real estate, it's busy. And so you pull up to a listing and somebody else is already showing it and somebody's waiting in line behind you. And so you kind of get to see other realtors doing their thing. And it's common for me to see another realtor doing his thing and be like, what a faker. He is so just playing it. And then it's like, I'm doing the exact same thing. Because you get into flow and you're interacting with the person, you're in that moment. To almost anybody else that's not your immediate audience, you look ridiculous. And I'm even, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking like, we're live right now. Like there's people watching this and I'm talking to my audience here. And I'm like, I wonder how many people are like, what a total goober, but they're not here in the room. They're not experiencing what we're experiencing. And I think that like one of the ways that we break out of it, and I don't remember who said it. I think Zane, it might've been you, or it's probably been said by a few people, but just do it. Just like make the phone call, just get in the car and go, just show up. And we keep saying this, and I'm going to plug this opportunity. Every Friday we're here. Come be a part of this conversation. I'm talking to my audience on YouTube now, I guess, but like come be a part of this because it forces you to get out of that psychological state and be in a physical space. And I love this. Like every time we're here, I'm like encouraged and challenged, and it's good stuff. I'm also going to really brag on Kelsey. Like if you have a chance to, like, especially if you need insurance, like talk to Kelsey. But like if you have a chance to sit down with Kelsey and like, this is really hard to do. Like there's a few other people in the room that I'll not call out that are also really good at this. She's such a good listener. Like I was rewatching our episode which by the way, if you're loving this conversation, Kelsey and I had like a 40-minute conversation about imposter syndrome. We'll put the link to it in the descriptions. But I was re-listening to that and I realized how much I was talking. You're just such a great listener. Like you pull out of people some amazing stuff. And so first of all, props to you for just being an amazing human being. But also like being a good listener, like that's a skill we can all develop. And so I'm gonna listen.
I'm listening right now.
I know you are. You're so good at it.
And I was going to bring up, it's time to let Kelsey get back to, you got a good start here. Now, how are we going to wrap this thing up?
Well, I mean, to be honest, you guys are hitting a lot of the points that like I even had outlined here of like, you know, a lot of the how to come out of it, because I think that, and even to recognize it, like, you know, we talked about comparison, like comparison is a liar. And obviously in our day and age, like not only do we have the personal experiences of like seeing the other realtors or like going to networking events and we're meeting all these other people that like, you know, we're all like on point that time. And you're like, like I shouldn't be here. I don't belong to be here. But not only that, that we have social media now. So like, obviously not only do our kids are, you know, everyone's struggling with it right now. It's like being blown up in our faces on how perfect everyone is and highlight reels and all those type of things. And quite frankly, I think networking events are highlight reels too, like of people.
Totally.
Like, I think that, I mean, there's some events that I've been to that people are just not, I mean, how you were saying, like, they're faking it, like, you are not really that type of person. And then there's some networking where everyone's just like super real and raw, and I've loved those. I've thrived there because that's the type of person I am. Like, and this goes against because I am in sales, but I am not a salesperson in the very, like, any being of my life. And so I've learned to kind of alter it. And like, I know Val's talked about service, like, and just being like, I think that when everything in your voice is so loud and everything's just like pummeling your head and your negative self-talk, you just have to like remember to set your mind shift, like set your mind on what am I really here for? Like what's my definition of success in just this small, and like mine is educating people and being helpful. And like when people are out there slaying insurance, like no, I quite frankly don't want to be that. Like I want to be the person that is like gonna answer a phone call at 3 a.m., which actually I probably won't because my phone goes off at 3. But like, you know, be there and we'll take a call and like something like some question that someone probably also feels dumb for asking, you know? Like I think that shifting your mindset into knowing like what your value is and what is a priority to you and makes you will kind of quiet those voices. And with community, I mean, we talk a lot about like imposter syndrome, and the negative like feeds on itself when in isolation. Like I think that having those people, your spouse, your friends, particularly I talked about the thing, my mom, like, just people that are close to you that know you so well and can like speak to your success to quiet those thoughts too. I just think that like community, shifting of mindset, those things are huge to kind of counteract the imposter syndrome. But yeah.
So I have something to add to that. So I always have like a goal ahead of me, and then when I'm almost hitting that goal, I either make it bigger or I create another goal. And so I think when I most have imposter syndrome is like when I'm like, oh, I'm not there yet. But then when I stop and look at like where I started and how far I've come, then I'm like, okay, wait a second, I'm continuing to move forward. That's been really helpful.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, I was thinking on my drive here, the very first time I met you, you were telling us about how like people call you John, but you want to be called Jonathan. And you talked about, and I think this speaks so much into it, of like, you were afraid of what other people would think that you wanted to go by Jonathan, because you just don't correct people when they say John. And like, do you remember that conversation?
I do, and I'll laugh a little bit and add some context. So my mom called me Jonathan, like that. My mom and dad, that's the name I was given. My mom always calls me Jonathan. And I mean, like grade school, we're talking like, when you're introducing yourself, people just called me John, and it's shorter, and there's like literally nothing wrong with that. But I took I'll call it the lazy route and just started introducing myself as John, because it's like, well, everybody's calling me John anyway, so I'll just go by John. And I have a friend that his name is Robert, but he went by Rob and was like, I want to be Robbie. Like he used to be Robbie, and he had a boss that was like, don't call yourself Robbie. Nobody wants to hear Robbie. You got to be, an adult. And so he like actually shifted to Rob, and I encouraged him like, I'm going to call you Robbie. And he started going by Robbie, and he and I haven't been in touch as much lately, so I don't know if I don't know where he's at on his journey. But as I was processing that and watched John Wick, where the proprietor of the hotel calls John Wick Jonathan, I was like, you know what? I'm taking back Jonathan. And so, I've started introducing myself as Jonathan. And full disclosure, like all my real estate signs still say John Byron. Like I am John Byron in a lot of places. You can still call me John. It is Jon. I can tell when you're spelling it with an H just by how you pronounce it. It's Jon or Jonathan. And actually, the Brazilian pronunciation, like John, Jonathan, which I kind of like, but it's not my name. So, you know, if you say Jonathan, I'll respond to that. But yeah, so no, that's and very interesting. I'm going to briefly touch on this. It's so fascinating, the things that we remember about interactions that we have with people. Like that would not be, but that stuck with you. And like, there's so many times that I run into somebody, Val being a great example. Like when I met Val, seriously, like little hero worship moment. Like Val is one of my heroes. And like every time I showed up at the Friday meeting that we first met at, it was like, hopefully Val's going to be there. Hopefully I get a chance to say hi to him. Hopefully he notices me. Like I was like seriously like giddy. And then like to hear Val talk about some of the stuff that he struggled with, it's like, oh, okay. If Val Money, the guy that ran Huckleberry Press for 10 years, has these kind of like struggles and stuff, it's like, okay, all right, like we're all in this together. So Val, always appreciate your vulnerability and sharing, and also like know that there are people that like you understate what you accomplished with Huckleberry Press. Very much so. Like you're well looked up to. We all love you very much.
All right. Greatly appreciate that.
Of course.
Grateful.
And then there's people that I run into that like remember me, and I'm like, you know, it's like sometimes you just happen to. There's a song, I won't name the name of the band, but there's a lyric in the song that says, we never know just how we look to someone else's eyes. And it's just true. You just have no idea. And so what we can control is how we show up, is where we show up. And it's that we go out the door and we do the thing. And the thing that keeps coming to me, as you've shared and other people have shared, is comparison is the thief of joy. As soon as I use this example because I do like cars. I like nice cars. And so I'm driving in my car and I see a car that is not as nice as mine, and I just get this little superiority complex, and I start comparing myself to the cars that aren't as nice as mine. And then I see a car that's nicer than mine, and all my joy is gone, all my enjoyment. It's like, oh, but I don't have that car. And that's a silly example of it, but it's true across. Like I can come into this being like, oh right, yeah, like, and then like think about somebody that has a bigger group or that has been doing it for longer, has more subscribers. You know, Mike, I love that we have 25,000, but there's somebody out there that has 50,000, and we got to go. And it's good to have ambition. Yeah. But it so quickly becomes about like, you know, measuring and all of this stuff instead of just enjoying like, and it's like such a great group today. I love that. And also I want to shout out Sean. Sean, you got to say something so that you come up on the thing.
Here I am. Yeah.
Yep, there we go. Perfect. All right, Sean. So Sean is our guest next week, and we had a little episode yesterday. We chatted. We're going to post that on YouTube. Okay. You want to give us a little teaser about what we're talking about next week?
I wish you wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation, was it yesterday? Very impromptu. I thought it went very well. I'm still kind of formulating what I like this vein of conversation, the imposter syndrome. It won't be about that, but, you know, being in banking and, you know, my years of experience, I'm kind of high on this psychology of money type of concept, and so I'll rein that in a little bit more. But I think it's interesting, right? The psychology of money, the definition of success, right, and what we think of it, and how it kind of all interrelates to what we've been talking about, which I find this conversation extremely fascinating.
Yeah, as we talked yesterday, and just I threw you on the spot massively, and you handled that very well. And I did it because I'm like, man, what did we talk about yesterday?
I was thinking, dang it, I don't even know.
But we covered a lot, but like just talking about like legacy and like what do we leave behind and like where, and so it really does just dovetail in with this topic, and just so important, the conversation. So Kelsey, as always, thank you for being who you are. You're amazing. And I highlighted Val. I literally, every single one of you, I could go around the room and just be like, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for everything that you've been through that brought you to this moment, what you contributed to this conversation has been extremely valuable. Sean, I echo your remark. It's like, I don't have to go to therapy after this.
Yeah.
Like, just being able to like be real, be vulnerable, and then also hear from other people. It's Val, you said it well, it's community. Like, this is amazing and authentic and incredible that we could do that while being like on camera. Like, that's like, way to go. Like, thank you everybody for being here. This is amazing. Those of you that are watching, if you're watching on YouTube, if you watched live, thank you. There's a couple people, Ben Volk, Candace, we already mentioned, Naomi jumped in. If you're at all a part of this group, we would love to have you here on a Friday. Hop in anytime. We're here every Friday at 3 o'clock. Action Business Furniture, I do want to give them a shout out. And you can't really see, I guess you can kind of see it behind Sean there. There's a lot of chairs. I don't know exactly what the story is, but they've got a ton of really cool looking chairs. And then as always, they have a lot of awesome furniture, things like that. There's one other thing. Somebody that has been on the show, hasn't been with us for a while because of scheduling conflict, but chiropractor Jonathan, the other Jonathan in our group, John Kuzichev, has an opportunity on Division. It's a commercial space. Basically, he's looking to sign over the lease to somebody new. So really cool. It's set up currently as a chiropractic office, but if you or anyone you know is looking for an opportunity such as that, let me know and I'll connect you with John Kuzichev. Man, so many great events coming up. Shout out to all of them, but we don't have time for that. So Mike's Dave?
I'm just gonna say Memorial Day.
Yes.
We want to remember again our veterans and have come before and remember. I know I walk on Centennial Trail and I look over the cliff into the cemetery and I see all the flags up. So
yeah,
it's a good time to reflect on the benefits we've gained from those who've come before.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
appreciate you sharing that and Sean for bringing that up earlier. Yeah, absolutely.
Same, yeah.
Same.
Zane.
We're like brothers.
You are. Yeah. Sean showed up at my house and I was like, we could be brothers. We all have like the little spiky hair, you know? Yeah. Mike, you ready to take us out?
Yep.
There it is.
We're all imposters because we're all actors and actresses on the grand stage of life.
Boom.
And I want you to take this challenge and write in the comments, I'm not going to be an imposter anymore. I'm a good actor or actress. And you know what? Your next thing is to like this video. Because of actors and actresses like you, we are continuing to get the awesome views. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya. Bye!